Call this meeting to order.
I'm sorry.
I understand that perhaps council wishes to hear from a delegation as a late item.
I would move that we allow a late delegation to appear before council and speak to us on Mason Bees.
And who is that, sorry?
Al Martin.
Al Morton.
All right.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. With that, adoption agenda.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Motion's carried. All right, Mr. Morton, you have the floor. Usually we use the podium here.
Okay.
Probably would be best that you come to the podium if somebody could shuffle it over for me. Because there is a microphone there and we are on our, even though we don't have the camera here, we have the internet. So you have 10 minutes for your presentation and thank you for
Well, I'll
coming.
be very quick. I read in the paper that you were considering bringing the Mason Bees. I think it's a great idea. For 5 years now, I started 5 years ago with an apple tree that just, I couldn't, I mean a cherry tree that just, I was never getting any fruit from it. And I live over on Cortez Crescent. And it was blooming really early. And there was no bees around. And I mentioned to my neighbor, he says, oh, we'll get some mason bees. So to make a long story short, that next year I bought a little house, a little commercial house, and it was from Art Knapp, which has a lovely selection of material and all that. And this is a little commercial condo for mason bees. And it's a set of holes. And it cost $15 at the time. I think it's up to $19 now.
It looks high density.
Yeah. So anyway, at the end of that first, I bought 10 mason bee cocoons for $14.95. Put them in the little container at the top, and when I opened it up in the spring, I had 250 cocoons. So I was on my way. That's the only time I ever had to buy cocoons. And which is something that you're going to discover that it's only this first year it's going to cost you any money as far as cocoons go. Anyway, to make a long story short, the next thing I tried was the big blocks where you're supposed to drill a hole. These are effective for about 2 years unless you drill out the holes every time. Because what happens, occurring with the mason bees, who are wild in our area, we've got them all over, they have mites that attach themselves to them and eat the pollen, and this slows them down and causes them not to be healthy and well, and they die off. We also have parasitic wasps that are tiny little wasps, and they're less than a millimeter across and very small, and they go and they actually go into the nests, into these tubes in the wild, and lay their eggs, and instead of having mason bees, you end up with wasps. And I'm going to go through this quick because I only got 10 minutes. In the spring, when they come out in the wild, I go and I get my mason bees that I collected last year, and that I will be collecting on the 20th at the Comox Rec Center at the garage sale there. I'll have my booth there. I use that. I did it last year. I washed my bees that I collected this year and store them in the winter. When spring comes, I take them out of my workshop and I have them in a vermin-proof locker, and I put them in the fridge. Because those mason bees, after they've experienced the winter, they want to emerge. And as soon as there's some warm weather, they'll come out. Well, you know how sometimes we get a warm weather for 3 or 4 days and then it freezes again? Well, all those mason bees that came out at that time are dead. So fortunately, they don't all emerge, and every year some certain number do. What I do is I wait until, and other people like myself that are into this, wait till in my case, it's my cherry tree. As soon as it starts to bloom, then I take, and I do it in 3 stages because I pick a day that it looks like I'm going to have at least 3 days of decent weather. And this is sitting out in front of the house, and I lift off the top, and this is called the nursery. And I just stick the cocoons right in there. Just stick them on the top here, put the top back on so that the birds don't eat them. And as it warms up, the males emerge first, and they come up, and all they want to do is they want to find a female. They're just fired up. And when the first female comes out, if the male, or however many males there, impregnate the female with sperm, then the males go off, and they don't do anything more as far as pollinating, except, for their need to eat. The female, first thing she's looking for is a hole for her to start a nest. These things are called mason bees because they make their nests with little plugs of mud, and I've got them to show you here. And when they see this, that's just perfect. So they don't have to go anywhere else for a hole. Then they look for water and mud. They need water and they need mud. And also food, which means pollen. And if those are all around, they'll stay and they'll start filling up these holes. One mason bee has enough eggs in her. She only has a limited number to fill up about 7 holes. And then she dies. They often get eaten by other things, so they don't always fill up the holes. But the way I set it up is I do 10, and then I look and I see, well, if I got a lot, and if I don't normally have a lot after just 10, so I take another 10 and I put them in the top so that they can emerge. And I'll do as many as 30. If I have bad luck and the weather turns or doesn't seem. And what I'm recommending to you is when you get these, you want to start with 30 cocoons every year. And spread, you don't put them all in at once, you do them in 3 groups. If you got, and so this is a bit intensive for time. So they sit there, they are really neat. You can put them at a height like this to watch. The males have no stingers. The female does in fact have a stinger. In order to get it to sting, you would have to hold it in your hand and squeeze it. So you don't want to put this somewhere where a little child could get at it, because a child could do something stupid like that. But, so other than that, I've never heard of anybody actually being stung. But the truth is that they are in fact capable of stinging if they want. These things, mason bees, are in fact a species related to wasps. They're not like the honeybee at all. They don't make honey. This is one reason why they're not really economic. I'll just give you a few more things, then you can hit me with questions if you like. These are 2 boxes that I did last year, and I opened the top off one, and I'll just pass it around. And I opened the top off of this one. This one does not do as well as the wood. They prefer the wood over the non-wood type. Here we are. And you'll see in there that you can just pass it around. The little actual cocoons are what I end up with. All the other stuff is mites. It's some cocoons where the egg didn't develop, so it's filled with pollen. And in the wild, that's what you'd see in the wild. What we do is we take those out and clean them up. The best way to go as far as ease of use is this is ordinary parchment paper. And if you just slip those into the holes, this takes time. So that's why I don't do them all this way. And when you slip them there, then you just roll them out, and there they all are. And look how much nice and cleaner they are. These are the actual cocoons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is just 7.5. It's the average number of cocoons that I take out of my house. And the thing is, once you're doing that, after the first year, you should have more cocoons, and so your initial cost is gonna be your, whatever your house is or how you're gonna do it. And after that, it really is, it's sort of, all it's gonna cost you is what it costs for somebody to look after, clean them, put them back in.
All right.
Questions?
Any questions from members of council?
Yeah.
So one of the reasons you're here is to get a tax exemption for these condos.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I appreciate your
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for
Okay.
bringing that to our attention.
Yeah.
So what do you think the real value is to the town to engage in this?
You will get more fruit on your trees. If you've got it near flowers, you're gonna, the pollinating really does makes the plants more healthy. Okay?
Good investment in our plants that we've
Yeah.
invested in? Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just curious about, you seem to have some really labor-intensive times, sounds like spring and fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you give us some idea of the amount of time it would take
Yep.
to look after one condo?
Well, actually, I did a workup on 10 or 15. I don't know how many you had in mind. And I have my book here somewhere. That's silly. Oh, here. Is it down there? Yeah.
My world.
Okay.
Every day.
So the way I looked at it, first, these condos, and these are cheaper than what they cost in the store. When I do my workshops, this condo, the condo itself here, is $25. That's $15. Okay, that makes $40, and I give them 20 free cocoons. The cocoons are what really cost. If you want to go down, I think they're about 10 for $15 right now. So if you had to buy the 30 cocoons, you're putting out $45 for cocoons. And this is what is the incentive for people to buy my houses when I do the workshops, because they get cocoons. You might have seen me on Dyke Road. That's when they're on Dyke Road, they're $1 a piece. And that's for people who just, if they want to buy a condo, they get them free. If they don't want it, it's $1 a piece. Always sell out all my cocoons every year. Okay? So anyway, if you wanted me to be involved, I'll tell you the kind of thing. Is that appropriate at this time?
Well,
Yeah.
I think what we want, we've heard what you've presented, and I think anything further would be dealt with at a staff level.
Sure.
So,
We haven't passed the thing yet anyways.
well, and staff will be dealing with this once, assuming it does get passed, so rather than getting into that
Sure.
discussion, I think,
And just one quick question.
mhm.
Would you think that one per park would be sufficient? What sort of density of,
One will certainly cover an acre.
okay. So one box per acre?
One block, yeah. Yeah. I have, I've got my little piece of land, and I take all of them off, but one definitely will look after an acre.
All right, thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
Great.
Onto the agenda, the regular council meeting minutes of September 4th for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. Committee of the whole meeting minutes of September 11th for receipt.
Move.
Second.
Receipt done, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Recommendation 1, that park staff be directed to promote pollination in our community by way of introducing mason bees into public spaces.
Move. Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Permissive tax exemptions for 2014, bylaw 1755, be forwarded to council for first, second, and third reading.
Move.
Second?
All those in favor? Motion's carried. Multi-material BC packaging stewardship plan, the recommendation from committee holds as printed. The letter's actually been sent already, and we made the offer on that condition, so we'll be making that offer on that condition. We did get a letter of response as well, but a mover of this would be...
Move that. Second.
Any further discussion? Yeah.
Have you heard anything from the province at all, whether or not they're going to be meeting with MMBC?
No, I don't believe we have. We're waiting to see what's the outcome of that UBCM resolution of the 90-day hiatus.
Yeah.
We did get a letter from the guy from MMBC offering to meet with us, but I suggested to the CAO we may want to wait and see what the province does.
Okay, thank you.
Any further? I haven't heard anything more since UBCM. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Alrighty, management report for receipt, page 15.
Second.
On receipt then, those in favor, motion's carried. And is that second item coming off? Is it supposed to be shaded or?
It should be shaded.
Yeah.
It's very lightly shaded.
Yeah, so that's basically done other than some final paperwork. Yeah.
I was just wondering about either replacing or adding a thing or two onto the management report. One would be our developers incentive program for our downtown, and the other would be our marina promenade program.
Well, I know that on the first one, we were getting a report next week at Committee of the Whole, initially to discuss that. And the second one you've referenced, there has been an application put together to ICT. And this Friday at the North Island Coastal Regional Advisory Committee, that'll be considered for stage 1 approval. So subject to that, I suppose it could go on. I mean, if it doesn't get stage 1 approval, we'll have to come back to it. But we're anticipating that will happen. So I think the first one you referenced, we will be dealing with that next week.
Okay.
And we'll see what comes out of that. It'll
Yep.
be an initial discussion piece.
Okay.
So there won't be, staff will be looking for direction, obviously. And then the one around the marina waterfront, CEO, how you want to deal with that?
We can add that to the management report and just provide a regular status update as to where it's going.
When we put that in our strategic plan, it wasn't subject to or conditional upon getting
No,
an
no.
ST grant.
No,
So
no, I didn't say
I
that.
think it would be appropriate
No,
to
that's
have
fine.
it.
No, I just wanted to see where staff, we haven't actually brought the application to council to this point, so I suppose we could perhaps put it on the committee level for next week.
Perfect, thank you.
So we have both those items that we did. Councilor Fletcher?
Just further to the DL 94, the same part of that was those 3 lots on the corner of Pritchard and Cambridge that were to be purposes of affordable housing. So are we going to leave that on the management report to see how we?
It's not our application, it's KFN's application to the province directly.
Okay,
It's
so
part of
we're
their
not
treaty
on the-
process.
Okay.
And the same with the north side of Eden Road. So we're not making an application for a Crown grant. Not us anyway. KFN is dealing with that as part of their treaty process.
Okay, so that piece is off.
Yeah, for now.
Can you just explain to me why we keep the organic waste service on there, even though, I mean, we've already got the program in place and it's
I guess
happening?
because it's still a pilot,
Okay.
and I suspect that until it's made permanent, that's probably why.
Is that the rationale? Okay.
And then we had the report of the elected officials forum, and we're waiting, hopefully, for a more permanent project. Once that happens, obviously, anything else? Okay, we'll have those items as requested and deal with some of them next week. Okay, so we're going to go over our receipts, so that's done. Receiving minutes then of the regional district board meetings of August 20, September 24, as well as solid waste management hospital board of September 12th.
Move.
Second.
All 4 sets of minutes, any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. And as we talked about just a moment ago, Comox permissive tax exemption bylaw was asking council to give first, second, and third reading here tonight.
Move.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. No items of new business. We have correspondence, page 67. Letter from Arzina Hammer of Mayor Farm regarding GMO delegation and response. So what's your pleasure?
Move receipt.
Second.
Receipt then, any questions? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Letter page 69 from the Legion regarding the usual Remembrance Day parade and ceremonies.
Move receipt and that we grant them their permission and send their letter for the flyby.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Excuse me, also from the Legion, looking for our support of proposal that they host a New Year's Day levy within the Legion on the basis that there would be minimal expenditure to the town of Colma.
Motion to agree?
Second.
They receive
Receive and agree with the
and
request.
approve. Okay, well,
I
is there a
don't
seconder on that?
I'll second.
Okay, it's for discussion. Oh,
I don't understand what the joint process is. Like, what's our participation in this?
that's a good question. You see, you have any information?
No, I don't. Not at this
I can only speak to what other communities down in Victoria have done. They've actually, in some cases, hosted levies at the town hall. Most recently, this past year, Saanich decided in lieu of that, they would open the Commonwealth Games pool instead of doing a levy. Here in town, the base, I do believe, hosts a levy, and probably 888 wing, and some of the other legions, but we've never hosted, to my knowledge, one at the town or as part of the town.
Would council prefer that I seek out some background information and put this on the agenda for the committee next week?
Sure.
Just in terms of what the costs may be and what our participation.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point, because, well, some venues or some communities, levies are viewed differently than others, so. Patty, then
Patty
Ken.
was up first.
Yeah, that would be I'm certainly supportive of it, but I really don't know what is involved, so I would prefer to have some
So we'll
cost ideas.
we'll move to receive and refer to staff for a
Yeah,
report.
refer to
I did talk to them actually just briefly about this, and really I think what they're looking for is a participation more than anything.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and again.
or whoever could make it.
Yeah,
that kind
yeah,
of
I'm not sure what they want. Okay, so we'll refer to staff for a report. And we'll hear more. So all those in favor? Motion's carried. Letter of thanks from the 19 Wing Commander regarding the Air Force Day.
Move receipt.
Second.
Thanking Shelley Ashfield, our engineer. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And lastly, oh,
Just a comment, I certainly found Shelley to be extremely easy to approach and ask questions, and she's very informative, and I would just, too, at this point in time, like to express, I'm sure from all members of council, that she's an excellent staff member, and you're extremely professional and helpful.
all right, thanks for those comments. This letter will also go on personnel file.
Your worship, I'd like to go on record that I did thank the Shelley for her work with this, but I thanked the wrong Shelley.
You were more than...
So we'll put that in your work file too.
She seemed very happy accepting the thanks I might add as well.
Yeah, no problem, you anytime.
No problem. No big deal.
All right, going back to the next item then, underwater pumpkin carving contest, we granted that permission to pass.
Yeah, move receipt and we grant permission.
Second.
Okay, and we volunteer Hugh McKinnon to be the underwater pumpkin.
The underwater judge, yeah.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. Alrighty, that deals with correspondence, and so we'll hear back on levy idea. Reports to members of council. I'll start. Had a lunch meeting with John Watson around some of the economic development action plan items, and we'll hear more on that starting as early as next week. Attended a reception for the North Island College president, John Bowman. The mayor's golf tournament back in September was a success, and I don't know the final tally of it, but I think it went very well. Battle of Britain service, international student welcome on the 15th of September before most of us went off to UBCM. I think the report on that's been highlighted in the local papers. Essentially, CAO and I did follow-up meetings with BC Hydro, BC Ambulance, and of course with the Ministry of Aboriginal Relations Reconciliation. And the results of all that have been positive, most recently with the Northeast Woods grant. which I attended on the 21st, along with most of the rest of council. Attended the CRA Lewis Center opening, and then I know a number of you are involved in the Raise the Reader efforts here in the middle of last week, but I was previously committed to go to Port Alberni for the Tourism Vancouver Island annual general meeting, and I participated in a panel discussion with 5 other mayors, which basically revolved around a mayor's or a Jeopardy type show where mayors were tested on their knowledge of various tourism events, activities, and places on Vancouver Island. I'm pleased to report that somehow I won. And there's a plaque apparently with the mayor of Comox's name on it that'll be presented later, but the previous winner was Charlie Cornfield of Campbell River. So that was a lot of fun. Mayors of Tofino, Port Alberni, Ucluelet, Nanaimo, and Parksville, and myself. So it was good fun, and good group there on all the things. And I did stay around for a little bit and see a presentation from the Canadian Tourism Commission on some of their efforts at a national level. So that was good. Elected Officials Forum that I referenced earlier, and then on Monday the Sid Williams Theatre grant announcement that our MP John Duncan provided $50,000 to them over the next 2 years. So that's my report. I'll go with Councilor Ken.
Oh, perfect. Well, I attended an economic development meeting yesterday, and we've had a couple of signage committee meetings regarding our gateway sign. Just the update report on that is we're going to be running a contest to get the public engaged on helping us design the sign, and that should come up. We're hoping to get that started in early November. And we've also got a fundraising group out there. We're just waiting for our materials to come in so we can get going, and we'll be using Canadian Tire and Quality Foods to do that, to run donations through their tills. And we'll also be going out and hitting people up in their corporations and such for work or in-kind work. So we're busily working on that. I also met with a couple of the buying agents from the MGM Grand Group. They own about 10 hotels on the Las Vegas Strip. They have 50,000 employees that they feed every day, and they were up here. It was set up through the International Trade Minister and our Economic Development Society, and they were up here looking at our shellfish and our agriculture, so that they were looking at buying things to putting in some of their hotels. They own several hotels, the Bellagio probably being one of their bigger ones, and they were looking at our aquaculture, which they've since met again with a few of them, and it's an interesting thing because it's such a big ordeal that we don't have one company in town that could actually handle it all. They would all have to sort of get together to make it work. So they're working on that. So that was kind of an interesting meeting. Neat to meet those guys and hear what they had to say about the Comox Valley. They were thrilled with our location and all our food. I also attended a developers meeting, which we'll get the results of. Is it next week they're going to be on our?
I don't think that the results of that specific meeting will be some of the work that our staff have been doing on an ongoing basis since we had our planning session this summer.
And some of that will actually filter into that meeting too, because the question was asked of them if we did an incentive program, what would work for them. So that was brought up at that meeting. And I also attended the Tri-Council meeting.
Councilor Patrick.
Thank you. So I had a lovely holiday, and when I came back, I arrived at UBCM and was up bright and early with to go to these sessions. And just a couple of the sessions that I attended, the citizen engagement session, some of the points that they really stressed were, if you engage the community and you want their information, be sure that you report back to them what you heard from them. If you're going to do any social media, make sure you're actively on it and monitor and maintain it. Don't just the one-off. They reiterated that surveys are very expensive and you might think of other ways. They didn't give us any other way, but they mentioned that. And then one item that I thought was I heard quite often through the presentation was, and from the attendees, was move that public comment question session off your agenda from the back of the agenda to the front, so that if people have questions about something you're about to vote on, why not let them say what they have to say at the beginning of the meeting, as opposed to once you voted, it's done, it's passed, then we allow them to make comment. So, I thought that was an interesting concept. Went to the CETUS session to get some more information. Their comments were municipal concerns regarding procurement were addressed, and there was no low bid requirement under certain thresholds. They stated that water was not a good in its natural state, so we shouldn't be worried about water. And then in addition, lots of excellent speakers. Of course, Stephen Lewis was outstanding. The Walrus Talks panel, and of course, the highlight was the first resolution that we passed, the unanimous vote that declared 2013 as its year of reconciliation with First Nation communities. And after UBCM, I attended the Northeast Woods Crown Land Grant Agreement signing ceremony. Good day. Last week at the CBRD board meeting, we moved to the new technology of iPads, so it'll be interesting to compare their process and what we're doing here. Raise a Reader Day with Councillor McKinnon. We canvassed the Comox Mall. It was a good time. I don't know how much funds were raised, but I think some awareness was raised. And the elected officials forum last week, I have to say that the information on the organics collection program was excellent. They really informative, and I take from that we have more work to do on information and education. Thank you.
Great, Councillor Swift.
Okay, rolling back in time I attended the Cotton Greenway plant-in, where I was able to plant some of the bushes and things along the way, and I will go back there and visit them and see how they have flourished over the next while. I met with Richard Canavan and Al Fraser and Mona Kendrick to talk about the upcoming agreement with the Philbrook Society. It's just a renewal of their regular agreement. I attended the Discover Comox Valley up in the Discovery Center, promoting tourism and hotels in the valley, and attended the UBCM, which was really worthwhile. Particularly enjoying the Art of Conversation by the Walrus Talks. And although I was not in my role as a representative from Comox Council, I did have a meeting with the Premier and the Health Minister regarding the implementation of some hospice beds in our community. So I was invited along as with the Courtney Council that had initiated the meeting. So it was very positive, and I'm hoping there's going to be some more follow-up with that one. Attended the Raise a Reader with Councillor Ken Grant.
I forgot.
And we did what we could. Ken had a great idea. We went and stood in front of the library, but
They didn't give us any money coming
no,
out of the library.
and we couldn't even get eye contact, but we tried. Attended the Northeast Woods announcement, which was great, and we were thankful for some sunshine, and the elected officials forum.
Great. Councillor Price.
Yes, I attended a cycling task force meeting, and we're looking at planning for the Hayes project, hiring, and then there'll be a coordination meeting around the stakeholders that's to come. I participated in an ABICC executive teleconference call. I attended the Regional District Committee of the Whole meeting and Comox Strathcona Waste Management meeting and the Comox Strathcona Regional Hospital District Board. I also attended UBCM, which I found fascinating. The opening, the keynote speaker, Stephen Lewis, I think set a really good tone for the opening of the convention. And his message that basically the need to address climate change, that we can't do anything up until everything that we have done up till now will affect us till 2050. But it's what happens after 2050 that we are responsible for now. I always find the marketplace a great place, and I did get a chance to talk to the Healthy Communities people and thank them for our $5,000 HASTE grant, and I got some pamphlets for the other Shelley on wood instead of concrete for sound barriers, and a lot more stuff coming out on rainwater infiltration. I also met our fire chief there, giving out stress relieving fire engines. And yes, if you're ever in a fire, it'll be handy. And dropping off our cards, I did win a tablet. So
Nice.
that was very nice. I attended the public hearing on carriage houses and the regional district local governments forum. Some great presentations. I attended the food roundtable, and World Food Week is coming up, and there's going to be a presentation by Peter Lavner on the 18th of September, 12 at the boardroom. I think it's an invite directed at local government.
18th of October?
18th of October, sorry. September went so fast. You know, and there's Ken's saying about sometimes getting product together is the challenge when you have big markets. And I know one of the things that we're looking at in the Comox Valley that came out through the Food Roundtable is a cooperative store place. So that, because what happens often is that farmers take their produce to the market and they bring produce back. So if they can take all their produce to one central place, which fills orders. One farmer might not have enough potatoes for an order, but 2 or 3 farms together. So it makes us more effective at being able to take on these larger orders. So that's definitely something that's been well talked about. And I went to the Social Planning Council Quality of Life report, which was the main topic, and it should be completed in the near future. And also the North East Woods signing ceremony, which was very impressive, and it was just a beautiful occasion, and it was something we can all be proud of.
Indeed. All right, Councillor McKinnon.
Yes, I've attended a number of the things people have talked about, so I won't go into details, but attended the tourism industry event at the Tourism Centre September 11th. The Terry Fox run at Comox First at the base on September 13th. The 14th, the Vancouver Island Regional Library Board meeting in Nanaimo, and mentioned that the Cumberland New Library is going to be opening in October, and there'll be notice of that date for those that would like to attend. Exciting for Cumberland. September 16th to the 20th, I was at UBCM, and just my comments echo what some of the other councillors say, that the connections made, the workshops, and meeting, the opportunity to meet with provincial and federal people is very valuable. As well, the reception hosted by the Chinese government, and it really brings to the forefront opportunities that maybe for small municipalities, and meeting with business leaders from Asia. They're looking for markets, and we shouldn't overlook that for the future. That was interesting. September 21st, the Northeast Woods Agreement. What a great celebration and an example of 3 levels of government coming together. I would be remiss if I didn't say that that was a community initiative that was started, picked up by our local elected officials, working with the Comox First Nation and the province. What a great victory for our community, and hats off to all those that have been involved, not just recently, but for many years. The 22nd, I was at a Community Justice Center as council rep. They had a recognition evening for those volunteers that work for restorative justice, and that was a very nice event. Iona Campanola is the patron of this organization, and what an inspiring and amazing lady, well into her 80s, still involved in community events like that. The Raise a Reader Day, Councillor Fletcher touched on that. Still have sore feet from working the mall. Last Wednesday, the public hearing on coach houses, and on September 26th, I made half of the elected officials forum at the CBRD office, and on the 29th, I attended the Little Red Church open house, something that we passed as a council to allow that lady to go ahead, and I'm pleased to report that there's lots of people involved with that building now, and what a great initiative. I wish her all the best, and hopefully that initiative continues to carry on successfully. Great for our community. And that's my report.
Thanks, Councillor Tom.
Okay, since we last met, I've attended a regional district board meeting, a regional district solid waste management meeting, a regional district hospital board meeting. I attended the elected officials forum. I was also with many of you over at UBCM and found many of the sessions very interesting. You've all talked about them, so I won't. I attended the public hearing on coach houses, and I attended the Comox Valley Housing Task Force meeting last week. And I just, everybody's going to get an invitation to this, but we are hosting a community forum on housing, affordable housing and homelessness and that. You'll get a formal invitation, but I just want to give you a heads up for Wednesday, October 16th. And there's a working luncheon at 12:30, and it's a lunch and learn workshop really set up for elected officials and staff members. And it's going to, Marika Albert from the Community Planning Council of the Capital Regional District will be putting forth a report. So it's going to be very interesting for all of us. So I would urge you all to attend that working luncheon Wednesday, October 16th. And that's my report.
Thank you. I'll send my regrets for that. I'll be in Victoria that day.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Unfortunately, whoever's acting mayor gets to chair the meeting that day.
Yeah. And I believe it's, there'll be handouts and that we'll bring back. So.
Councillor Grant, that's at the Philberg, I believe?
Yeah, the Florence Philbrick Center, I'm sorry. There will be invitations coming
All right.
forthwith.
Yes, only 2 weeks in. Yeah. All right, so those are the reports. No other late items to my knowledge. Media questions? No? Questions from members of the public? No in-camera meeting this evening, so motion to adjourn.
Second.
In favor? Motion's carried.
I know.
Yeah.
Usually there was a